I'll tell you a funny story about the hairdresser.
If
Here we exactly what I just told you.
It better be a funny story.
It better be a funny story. My son Alex,
Yeah.
who is the producer of my podcast, and he had hair. He used to have hair. I guess in a picture, he had hair that we let his hair grow. His hair was really long, and finally, my wife said, he needs a fucking haircut. You better take your son for a haircut. At this time, he was like 7 or 8, and there was only one place that he would go. It was like a Supercuts or something. So I took him to the Supercuts. They have Supercuts, not super hairdressers.
Yeah.
So I took him to Supercuts, and the person that he was comfortable sitting with was not there that day. He was really upset, and they said he won't be back. And I told my wife, I'm going to bring him home. She goes, no, get him a fucking haircut. I go, oh, okay. So I go, and there's a hairdresser in this strip mall. It was like a Spanish hairdresser, it was a Mexican hairdresser.
I watch this only on TikTok. Keep going.
A salon.
Yeah.
It was like a salon for ladies. So I just said, I'm going to get him a haircut. So I go in, and a lady's at the door, and she doesn't speak any English, and I don't speak any Spanish. And I go, haircut. And he's going, Dad, no. And I'm going, just be quiet. You can't say a word. You don't say a word.
Yeah.
And he doesn't say a word. He's 8. He's got this long hair. And she goes, okay, I make beautiful. I make beautiful. And I go, okay. So I go and I put him in the chair with him. He's like 7 or 8 years old. And I said, I'll be back soon. You do not say a word. And I go get a coffee or something, and I leave. And then I come back, and it's this Mexican hair salon. And I look, as I walk, there's a lady sitting in a chair, and she has like the first lady in the first chair has like a bouffant with her hair flipped up in a nice little haircut. The second lady in a chair with a different hairdresser has a beehive with her hair flipped up. And I get to my son, and he's sitting there with a tear coming down his cheek with the bouffant and his hair flipped up. They had no idea this was a little boy. They gave him an old Mexican lady's hairdo, and he's crying. And I told him not to say a word. And the thing was, I thought it was the funniest fucking thing I've ever seen.
He's crying. There's nothing worse than a bad haircut.
Bad haircut
is such a real thing because you can't fix it.
No, and it's done. It's a do. They don't know this is a boy. They don't. And I paid the lady, and I gave her a $20 tip, and I said, come with me. And he's going, Dad, no. And I'm going, no, you got to. And I brought him home. I wouldn't let her fix it. And my wife, I walked in the door, and my wife goes, what the fuck did you do? I go, well, you're going to send me to go get him a hair. Isn't it beautiful? And he had his friends over. He had this horrible Mexican lady's haircut for about 2 weeks.
Until you threw him a quinceañera. My haircut story is not that good. Oh, yours is so much better.
But that's a true story. True story.
That is fucking hilarious.
Okay.
God, that is fucking hilarious.
So tell me the Sandy story.
What was the Sandy story?
You told me there's a Sandy. Oh, the Sandy was the Rambo story. You had a haircut story.
My haircut story is not as good.
But they can edit the podcast and put it first, and I can go, oh, and now you got to hear my story.
So there was the hair guy who cut my hair did everyone's hair. Yeah, it was really hard to get a hold of. He came in once a month on a Thursday.
What do you mean came into the LA?
He lived in Santa Barbara, and he would come in and do hair once a month, and it was really hard to get. So you kind of had to like time it out. You get a call, hey, his name. I'll say his name's Tom.
Why don't you want to call him out?
Because I'll tell you this story because it's a weird story, and I hope if he hears this story, he's cool with this story. So I really hope so. So he says to me,
no, he didn't call out his name.
He goes, he was really hard to get a hold of. So he comes in on Thursdays, and I get a call. Now Leanne had just dumped me because we had gotten into an argument, and 2 of her friends didn't like me.
You took away her phone.
They were teaming up on me. So I was in a bad spot.
Her friends were teaming up on you?
Mm-hmm,
That sounds like a positive.
You'll hear.
Okay.
You'll hear. So I'm in a bad spot. I'm crying. I can't. I'm watching Fight Club on repeat. I'm just in a bad spot, and I get a call from the place, and they go, "Hey, Tom is going to be in town Thursday. Do you want to get a haircut?" And I said, "No, I'm good." And so they're like, "Okay." And so I hang up.
How much is a haircut from this guy?
It's like $80. So Thursday comes around, and it's Tom, and he calls my house, and he goes, "Hey, I'm here. Come get a haircut." He goes, "I know you're due. Come get a haircut." And I was like, "Hey, man, I can't." And he goes, "Why?" I said, "I'm going through something." He goes, "Tell me what's going on." And I said, "I got dumped by a chick. I'm having a hard time getting over it." He goes, "I'll tell you what. The thing you need is a haircut. There's nothing better than a good haircut. It'll make you feel like $1 million. Why don't you come down? We'll talk. We'll figure out what's going on with you and this chick." And I love this guy. So I go, "All right, you know what?" So I drive down. I get there, and he is sitting by a pool table drinking a beer. Now, he was a recovering heroin addict. So I go to him and I go, "Hey, what are you doing with the beer?" And he goes, "You want one?" I said, "No." I said, "Well, I don't know. Maybe. It's part of the story." He goes, "Why don't we have a beer and talk about it?" I go, "I thought you were a recovering heroin addict." And he goes, "Dude, heroin was my problem, not beer. I can have a cold beer with a friend and talk about what's going on." So,
But if you're an addict, that's...
So I said, "Okay." So we crack a beer and I go, "Her friends think I have a drinking problem." He goes, "How many?" I said, "What?" He goes, "This is my expertise." "How many?" He goes, "I've been in recovery forever."
How many friends or
How many friends?
beers?
How many friends think you have a drinking problem? I said, 2. And he goes, "Fuck them."
Fuck the friends.
I said,
You're
"Really?" And he goes,
supposed
"Let me
fuck
tell
the
you
friends.
something. If one person tells you have a tail, fuck them. They're crazy. If 2 people tell you have a tail, they're teaming up on you. But if 3 people tell you have a tail, turn around." I go, "For real?" And he goes, "Yeah." And he
Love that
goes,
philosophy.
"Want to smoke a joint?" I was like, "Huh?" He's like, "You want to smoke a joint?" I go, "What do you mean?" He's like, "Go to the bathroom, smoke a joint." I said, I'm so sorry. I don't mean to hammer this, but I thought you were in recovery." And he goes, "Yeah, for heroin. Smoking weed wasn't my problem. Drinking beer wasn't my problem. Doing heroin was my problem. Are you going to smoke a joint with me or not?" And I go, No, we'll smoke a joint." So we go into the bathroom, we smoke a joint. He goes, "You love this girl?" I said, "Yeah." And he goes, "Get her back. Fight to get her back. Do everything in your power to get her back. You don't want to lose the good ones." And I said, "Yeah."
Oh, fight.
Yeah. And so I said, "Okay." So we go out and we go to get a haircut, and he grabs another couple beers, and he takes a straight razor with one hand as he drinks a beer, and he cuts my hair with a straight razor and his thumb. It hurts so fucking bad.
Straight razor in his thumb.
And his thumb, he's just going like this and just cutting it. And I'm watching, and he's barely paying attention because he's high as fuck. and he cuts bangs that look like Simple Jack from Tropic Thunder. And and as he cuts them, they stick up. And he leaves a lot of hair on the back.
It's already
and I
better
look
than my son's
so
story.
bad. I look so bad. And he goes, "Hey, man, I hope you get that girl." And now he's visibly wasted. He's like, "I hope you get that girl back." And I was like, with his haircut. And so I go to my car and I start crying because now I look like an idiot. I'm never getting her back. I drive to my house. I walk in my door, go to my bedroom because I just want to cry, and she's sitting on my bed. And I go, "The fuck are you doing here?" She goes, "What happened to your hair?" It was the baddest haircut I've ever gotten in my life.
But you're with her.
I know. I got her back. He's a great guy. I love that guy. I tried to get a haircut from him again, and I think he went back to rehab. Yeah, I think beer and weed was his problem.
Bert and Tom and Bert. One goes topless while the other wears a shirt. Tom tells stories and Bert's the machine. There's not a chance in hell that they'll keep it clean. Here's what we call 2 bears, 1 cave.